the words that people use out there are very loaded, you know, enlightenment, awakening, and they've all got their plus points, but and perhaps downsides because they're so loaded. There's a lot of misconceptions and conceptions about what they mean. So they come with a lot of baggage, whether it means you sort of suddenly become omniscient and all-knowing and all peaceful, or all suffering's gone, or all this sort of baggage can go with those words. So yeah, the shift from identification with personality, but the difference is that it's not temporary. It's so kind of deep that the back and forward can't happen anymore. So shit still happens, suffering can still happen, personality stuff can still come up, emotions, beliefs will show up, all of that will show up. But something fundamental has happened, which is your identification with this thing that governs and runs that, the machinery of it. So it's a big thing. It's a big break. It's a discontinuation. And so it's very, along your journey, it's the turning point, really. It really is. So that's why I use the word shift, and that's what I mean by it. You can't make it happen. If I see this teacher, if I fast this long, if I say this affirmation or whatever, then it'll happen. And there's a kind of logic to it, I suppose, because the idea is like by emulating this thing and knowing it more, how it looks, what you're meant to say, what you're meant to believe, that it will happen. And so I suppose from the mind's point of view, there's a kind of logic to that, because I suppose that can be how it works with other things. But then, of course, you can't not seek. If you've got that in you and you're interested in this. Okay, so let me relate it to me. I did all the things that everyone does who seek. I went to some teachers, I read countless books. I got them all in there. I haven't looked at them for about God knows how many years. I used to read them. In fact, that was the main thing I read. And my thinking was like, well, who cares about other subjects? This is the only thing that matters. This is the only, and in a way, that's all right, because it has to be the main thing that matters for you, because you have to give everything to it. So, but yeah, there's this stage. By reading those words, you're opening your mind, I suppose, to what it's like to be awake, I suppose. But you're still a tourist. Yeah, but the bottom line is you can't make it happen. It's the ultimate dilemma, isn't it? In most things in life, you can dedicate yourself to them. And if you really want it, and this is the essence of personal growth, isn't it? Anthony Robbins, isn't he called? And all, it's like, yeah, you got to give. You just got to believe in yourself, and you got to give everything. And even with that sort of worldly success or whatever that he's talking about, in some ways it's true. You can put a lot of energy into something and focus and dedication and kind of make it happen. To some extent, that's true anyway. But with this, you can't, because the one who's wants it to happen and is trying to make it happen is the one that has to dissolve. Yeah, it's like chasing your own shadow, really. Yeah. Yeah, the yearning is the yearning, and it wants to wake up. So there's obviously nothing wrong with that. That's the essence of what drives us towards this and into this. But if that in any way gets overtaken by personality, then it becomes, when I get this, I'll be happy. And that's why, and then it's like a sort of acquisition, and it's not something you acquire. It is the loss. It's a loss. It's a total loss of everything you thought you were. If you don't know anything about this world, and then you sort of suddenly land up in it, you can be really confused and lost and everything, but at least if you know the territory, you'll think, oh yeah, I read about that. Now you know it from the inside, and it's very different, but you won't be so confused perhaps by what's happening. So I think there is a kind of place for it's a sort of acclimatization, isn't it? But there's this thing, two things are true at the same time. It's yeah, it's good to sit silently, and it's good, it's good for your health, and but it won't make it happen. If you, it's not like, let's use the example of meditation. If you meditate 10 hours a day, it doesn't mean it's going to happen any more than if you never meditated, I would say. But it's good, it's peaceful, and it's probably good for you. So it's a great puzzle, isn't it? And a great joke. You can be involved in the great search, and you could be meditating, many hours a day, and you can be bowing to the Buddha and all of that stuff. And all of that is actually a tightness, and that tightness is stopping it happening. So it can be the opposite. It can be like, yeah, drop it all, and then suddenly, bam, But again, jumping back and forth sort of across the line, it's like, you can't make the search drop. You have to fulfill the search until life drops it, really. And so that this is it. There's nothing wrong with the search, and the search is all part of you living your life. If I look back, and I suppose one way you could look at like all the books I read that I never read now, but I used to read, and you could say, well, it was all wasted time for nothing, but it wasn't, because it's not that it made it happen, but I was living what I was, and at that time I was involved in seeking in that form. So it's all good. Nobody can give it to you, but it is good to have support and to understand, who knows what I say can help you, or if it can help you, but hopefully it does in some ways. And when something's happening, there's a connection here, there's a transmission of something, and that's all part of the mystery. But as soon as you kind of try to bolt it down and say, right, you do this, listen to what I'm saying, and I'm rigid about this, and then if you do that, you'll get it, then it's not it anymore. So it's this weird thing. It's like it's an open sky, and yet there is a kind of map, and there is a terminology we use, because it helps to understand the overview of it. We have to use terms, and there is a side to this, as we've said before, where understanding plays a part. Even the understanding of like the difference between a shift or an opening. Because when you have an opening next time, you'll know, that's an opening. It's past. It was a glimpse into the absolute, but it wasn't able to stay, and probably means I've got more to see. And those sort of things help you understand where you are a bit,